Let's get right into the news.
What's up, guys? Welcome to our new podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about CSGO, um, standing for Counter Strike Global Offensive, a very highly strategical game.
Very highly strategical.
Yes, it is. And not only that, it's a very enjoyable game. Uh, it's a shooter game, obviously, but it's a bit more than a shooter game because it's not like you just go around bunch of shooting each other for no reason, and then in the end you lose and you want to rage. This is not that kind of a game. It all depends on strategies, different type of players, everyone working together to make a really good team, and then in the end, what you play is basically a search and destroy type of game mode, which um, results in two teams, which is CT and T, standing for Counter Strike. No, not Counter Strike.
Counter terrorists.
Counter terrorist and terrorist. And yeah, so actually diving into that, let me tell you guys a bunch of different, like, the kind of players that are in that game. Actually, people, they choose their main. It's not like Overwatch where you have to learn characters. Everyone is the same exact character, actually, but it all depends on the in-game currency you earn through getting kills or whatever. And you can, at the start of every round, you can either pick up a gun before the ending of last round, or you just buy a new gun and whatever you want after that. And plus, with that, it comes along a lot of different things, which really results in different players, like the lurker, which basically means he lurks around the map. Like he will push by himself mostly. He will be an assault rifle type of kind of player. The support player. This support player usually goes with one person. Usually, the diffuser has a support player with them, but it all depends on the way your team wants to actually play. But that's kind of how it goes. The rifler, you got the one who wants to go for one taps. He takes the AK and he'll go down pushing mid with a stun, and then he'll throw a smoke, probably get killed most of the time. This player is a questionable player. And you got you got the fraggers, you got the one tappers, you got the you got the snipers. Really, the one player I really enjoy watching, or the one player I really think is probably the most highly skilled player, is probably the sniper. Because
Yeah, I think that's with every game.
yeah, I mean, but like, here's the thing with CS:GO. CS:GO is a game you can easily die with one shot.
True.
You're dead with one shot, and sometimes you won't even see the person. He'll just one tap you across the map. But like, having that sniper killing the people who are trying to one tap you across the map, that sniper means that, like, that sniper knows everything about the map. He knows everything about the other team, and he's about two steps ahead of you. And it just means that person is a better player in general. I believe they are. But this is the thing. All these players, you can always rotate around with them. I mean, the one who's always a lurker doesn't have to be a lurker all game. He can switch around between roles, and that's what makes the game really beautiful, because everyone can be whatever they want. It doesn't have to be like Overwatch, where if you're a support main, you stay as a support main. I mean, you don't really switch unless your team badly needs you to switch. But in CS:GO, you can switch for fun, you can switch for whatever, and switching or having too many of one thing never means you're gonna lose a game. But in Overwatch, it does. If you have like too many DPSs, you're probably gonna lose a game.
True.
But in
So,
Overwatch, a healer is really like needed, and here there's not really healer. It's more of like the support
who
player.
do you main?
Who do I main? As a player, I used to be the lurker, because the lurker has a really wide view of the map. Really, he's the one who he likes to sneak around the map. He wants to go. He wants to end up behind you, and he's all he trains to do is be sneaky, and also rush at the same time. He will go away before anyone else even thinks about it.
So what do you play
but
now?
it's a very good question.
Or
So
do you
what
not
I
play
play
anymore?
I don't play anymore, unfortunately. I haven't played in a while, but that's because of certain circumstances that have come
Is there
ahead.
another game that has overtaken it?
Let's not talk about that. Let's move on.
That'll be next episode.
That will be next episode. Yes. So next thing on the agenda is pro players. Obviously, we know pro players make a huge part of the fan base and the culture of that game. You look at Call of Duty.
As with most games.
Yes, but here's the thing: for a game like, for example, I'll give a mention here. Call of Duty, FaZe and Optic are the biggest in Call of Duty, and those two teams made Call of Duty probably 3 times bigger than it is because of a huge fan base that they managed to gather and how they got everyone involved in watching Call of Duty. You look at their pro streams back in the day, they used to have like 110,000 just on Twitch, and they would just watch not because the game is entertaining, they'd watch because their favorite players are playing.
True.
And what I would say with pro players on CS, it's a little different to Call of Duty. Even though it's very close, but it is such a broad scale in CS. In Call of Duty, it's very small. In CS, back in the day, a team like C9, they used to be the best, biggest, and the most fan-loving team in there. And what happened with them was they had their owner of that team. He decided to have a bit of think to himself, and he just thought, "Hey, I own this part of company as well. Oh wait, the company that I own owns this team, and my team has to play against another team that I basically own. So what do? I do a bit of match fixing. I tell my players to throw the game."
Ooh.
And they did that in one of the biggest scenes out there, millions of dollars on the line, and they threw the game, which resulted in MLG coming in and basically banning every single player in that team professionally. They banned all of them. Not that they just did ban them for 1 or 2 events, they banned them permanently. Which means your career is ended. There's no way you can earn money anymore. It's over for you. And the fund that you used to earn is now no longer available. And they lost a huge fan base due to the terrible action they took. All the players were told to refuse that they threw the match until further notice, until one day one of them decided that was enough is enough. And yeah, we threw the match. Which resulted in chaos. You know, a player who was only 18 at the time and he was known as the best player in the game, he ended the CS scene. CSGO at the time was getting so many attractions from all over the world, even though it was not a newly made game, but it had so much attraction. And after this chaos that was caused, it lost all of its fame. It lost the reputation the game has earned.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I don't think it's totally dead though.
No,
sure.
It's definitely not a dead game. Absolutely no. I would not call it a dead game. But I would also not like to say that it is a game back when it was in 2015, 2016. Back in those days, the game was popping. The game was... Everyone who streamed that game on Twitch would be guaranteed thousands of viewers because the game was just so entertaining to watch back then. There was not so much misogyny between everything that existed between all the teams and all the pro players and everything, and everyone switching between this and that. It was just terrible. And now it's not as enjoyable anymore.
So who do you think is the best pro player?
Swag. I think Swag is the best player. Even though people would say...
Explain who that is?
Okay, I will explain. But people are going to argue with me saying that it's Stewie2K. I don't think it's Stewie, because Stewie is a player that is all about... he's known as the smoke criminal, okay? That's his name, smoke criminal. Because all he does is throw smoke and then you're dead. If you see the smoke and Stewie's in your game and he's in the other team, You're a dead man walking. But I think Swag is a much better player because he's so much younger. Stewie's, I think, 24. But I think Swag just turned 19. And Swag has been playing professionally since 14 years old. The kid is an animal. And the kid has so much more for improvement. And he's just... Swag would go in a game professionally against other people who are they say that he's in the same skill level, and he'd get 5Ks in a row. Every round he'd get 5Ks. He would end up with 40 kill games. That is insane numbers for any player to even do anything. But then you'd see someone like Stewie. Stewie would have flops. Stewie would go in some games and he'd be absolutely terrible, and then he'd be at other games where he's godlike. And you can never tell whether it's the Stewie that you know, or if it's just Stewie without hacks. You're never to tell. And then he got in the whole
Stewie without hacks.
Yeah, because people thought he was hacking. You know, some games he'd be somewhere else, not at his normal setup, and then he'd be playing bad. And then when he went to back to his old setup, and then he'd be playing good again. So people were thinking, like, is this guy hacking? And that became a huge issue for him. People thought he was hacking. They made a bunch of videos saying he was hacking and everything. He denied all of it. There was no real evidence that he was hacking. I wouldn't think that he was ever hacking. I think he's just naturally gifted.
Well, on the subject of hacking, should we talk about Russian hackers?
Oh, absolutely. CS is known to have a huge Russian fan base. And that's very evident. If you think of CS, you think of Russian players. And there's all the things about Rush B and all the swear words that the Russians like to say, and a bunch of other stuff that the Russians carry with them into CS, which makes the game hilarious and makes the game really entertaining for everyone in the lobby itself. But Russian hackers unfortunately destroy that game. For example, me, I put in about $300 to $400 worth of skins into that game, just for fun. I never wanted to go in. I wanted to just put $400 into the game. And I was an inactive account, and there's a bunch of lobbies a player can make. It can be a custom-made lobby, and you go in it. You can easily join, and there'll be music in the background if the lobby leader wants to, and there'll be a bunch of new stuff in the game. It's just fun stuff, you know. If you want to not be playing competitive, you just want to mess around. And in those lobbies, those Russian hackers would get in, and they'd wait for anyone in the lobby that check out their account, and they'd get ready to go basically bust into that account and take everything they have. And with all the things that CS is wrong in it, I could go on for years of how much bad stuff there are in CS. The gambling thing was a huge issue back in the day.
Yeah.
People were, losing thousands and thousands worth of dollars every day.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, and there was a lot of people who almost went to jail for it. There's the people that did. Big name people almost got in a lot of trouble. And that's because Valve, the company that makes all this, doesn't care. And it is truth. You might think I'm trying to joke around here. Valve does not care. Valve never put in a system. Like, you can save games at the end of every match, and if you think someone's hacking, you go back and you can watch the replay. You specifically tell Valve where the hacker was going, how he was hacking, and you could even tell the software. And Valve would simply not care. If Valve did care, which was only about 5% of the time, they'd ban that account fully off Steam and everything, so that person would have to go buy CS again if they want to play the game. Which basically meant, here you go, Valve, you have money now. Wow, what a really good way. But Valve would never implement a system to where if you got into a game, for example, a game like Rainbow Six Siege has this, Star Trek would see it, and they'd say, hey, this person has been banned by BattleEye. You could see in game any person who's ever getting banned because they're cheating. Every other player would know, because this person just got kicked out of the lobby, they're cheating. Valve never implements this into the game, because I just don't think they care enough. And their game is probably one of the best, biggest in the world. They just don't care. And that's huge, because you'd see with the pro players, they get banned. A bunch of other players get banned, and none of it ever shows to be Valve caring. It's more about if they don't do it, the whole community is gonna bust, so they have to do it. They never do it out of their own will. They do it when they have to, which is terrible.
Yeah.
And yeah, the thing with my account, Russian hackers hacked my account. They took all my skins. You could do a trading with your friend. You could send skins for whatever cases or whatever. And then basically this guy just went onto my account. He had everything accessed. So he just sent one case that was worth absolutely nothing. And he traded that one case he had with all the skins I had. And he just traded them. Easy. Didn't need my confirmation. Didn't need whatever. I just one day got into my account and saw I had nothing. And I checked my email. Apparently, with the email that Valve had to send me, they sent me a month late. And where it went was in my spam section.
Oh, man.
Which is, well, just shows you how much Valve care. They don't.
Yeah, that gambling thing, I remember that. That was crazy. That was like, I mean, they had like little kids just like gambling online, like losing thousands of dollars.
Unfortunately, that is the thing. Like, websites that promoted the gambling on the site, they were not necessarily trying to scam anyone, okay? It wasn't. It was a coin flip thing, and it wasn't biased whatsoever. It was a coin flip or a draw of your chance with how much money you put in. If you put in more money, you had more chance to win.
Yeah.
And it was basically, it was a machine generating something. It was never supposed to be this guy's guaranteed to win or anything. But unfortunately, a lot of influencers, a lot of YouTubers got into that. And what they did was they just bought those sites. And then they promoted them without saying they are the owner. They just said, hey, this company hit me up. How about you guys check it out? And half of them didn't even say, hey, if you're under 18, don't gamble, kids. And so kids would go onto that account. There'd be several court cases where the parent is going against those owners because they lost like $15K out of their bank account because their kids stole the credit card.
Yeah.
It was becoming a huge issue worldwide to the point where a lot of people had to go. And there was, in a space of a month, there was millions of dollars being traded. That was, I mean, there is a knife in CS worth 35K. It's a knife.
And I mean,
crazy.
Some of these websites still exist. Like right now, I'm visiting a website. It's gambling website for CSGO.
Yeah, they exist. To the point, though, I think they have restrictions on amount. Or if they don't have they have a lot of security where they check if you're really under 18 or not. Because this got huge. The American government was really against this. And they had to impose a bunch of laws because it was just a one thing saying. I mean, one of the websites didn't even mention 18. One of them said 14. Which was crazy because apparently...
definitely illegal.
It's outrageous. CS lost so much value in their company with how they allowed websites to take part of their game and let your in-game stuff, let another website who's being generated by a bot get control of the things you earn in your game. I mean, that's crazy. You're not even it's not a thing Valve made. Let me just make this clear, people. The websites that let you trade stuff for thousands of dollars, those were never made by Valve. They just talked to Valve for a minute. They said, hey, we want to do this. Will you let Steam connect your website, connect your game to our website? And they're like, yeah, sure, why not? They never read those website policies. Valve never stated that they even made a contract with these accounts or these websites. They just let it happen. And it's just because, again, Valve don't care. As long as they're making more money, they just don't care.
I feel like they haven't released a game in a while, though.
No, because Valve are huge. They are releasing games. They're releasing games almost every 6 months or 1 year.
Yeah,
but, I mean, those games are never as going to be big as CS because CS is just...
I guess you just never hear about
massive fan base. No, you don't. Unless you're into those kind of games and into those criteria of games. You're not really going to hear about them all the time.
Yeah.
What else do we have on the agenda?
I think that's it.
So, okay, how's the game doing after the 6 years of its release, really? The game right now, it's stable.
Yeah.
It's not like the game is on an upbeat. It's not on a low beat. It's definitely not. Uh, it's going its own path and it's doing its own thing. It's not really like a what do you call it? One of those markets where one day it's earning a lot of money and the other day it's not earning at all. It's
Yeah.
just going its own path. There's the gambling thing isn't big anymore. The pro scenes honestly isn't really big anymore compared to what it was.
Yeah.
And its average player has stopped playing the game. Players who have thousands of hours on the game now really don't have much on it.
I mean, there's so many other new games that are just like a lot better and a lot more popular.
Yeah, I mean, you're eventually going to get tired of a game who's constantly the same thing. I mean, at some point, Valve decided, hey, what is the next big thing we can bring into the game when we have a lot of issues in the game? They thought, well, you know what we need to bring? Gloves. The gloves your character makes are now worth a lot of money. There were $150 gloves you could buy. I'm telling you, Valve don't care. They just want more money being circulated through their game.
Yep.
Valve don't want to implement anti-cheat system. They want to implement new gloves into the game because that's what's needed. That's what the community
what they're spending
needs.
their annual budget on.
Exactly.
Gloves.
It's great. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that is CSGO.
Yep.
Don't play the game.
Really? Is that what you generally think?
Quick tip on life: just don't play the game. The game
Ever?
is no. Do have a go on it, but just try to stay away from CS. CS is a shambles. A few years ago, I would have told you go play CS all day, every day. But right now, I'm gonna tell you stay away from it. The game is it's gonna cause you trouble. That's it. It's gonna get you addicted to it, and the more addicted you get to it, the more money you put into the game, the more money Valve gets, and then you lose your money. And then you start crying because you're like,
It sounds like a compliment.
To who?
You're saying it's so good that you'll get addicted to it.
No, the case system and its things that it can give you will get you addicted to it. And it's not a good addiction, it's a bad addiction.
Oh, so it's like gambling.
It is. No, Valve is all for gambling. Valve is all for gambling. I mean, heck, they're even good with letting websites run their own game, so of course they're good.
So, what would you say is better, Overwatch or CSGO?
Overwatch.
Oh, not even a little bit of hesitation.
Absolutely not, because Overwatch, Blizzard, ladies and gentlemen, they implemented anti-cheat the second day the game came out.
It's the only reason.
And as soon as they did that, look at them now. I mean, there was a time where yes, Overwatch had its time where they were making a lot of mistakes too. They were letting people all over top 500, but there was a lot of them that were hackers, and everyone knew them. Like people who would watch live streams of people like Tim the Tapman or XQC, they would watch them, and these people would say, "Hey, look, this guy's hacking, bro," and those guys would they would get so frustrated they just wouldn't play the game anymore. And I remember Tim said, hey, I'm not going to get on the game unless this Symmetra main, who's been Symmetra main since beginning of the game, and now he's top 500, I'm not going to play this game anymore until that person gets banned. And when Overwatch started losing its fan base, Blizzard realized, hey, we need to really step up our anti-cheat. They stepped it up. Now, most people who were top 500 and they were hackers, they're all banned. That top 500 guy got banned forever. And people are coming back to the game. And Blizzard care about their fan base. They listen to what fan base says. Valve just don't listen. They don't care. You can complain as much as you want, even though Valve. Well, I think that's all we had time for today.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to our podcast and a huge rant I had to go on for about 20 minutes probably. And this has been Sam and Joseph. Thank you for listening. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.